we actually saw some debris showing up on the radar right in there. That is what we call a tornado debris.
Winter Storm Harper going from the Pacific to the Atlantic across the United States, from California to New York. Snow, some areas up to several feet. Rain, thunderstorms, tornadoes. Tornado confirmed in Alabama. Ice.
No serious damage there.
I'm in Cleveland, Ohio, Strongsville, Ohio, Cuyahoga County, Northeast Ohio. I'm just south of downtown Cleveland and just south of the southern shores of Lake Erie.
Not a whole lot of fuel for these storms, but again, there's very strong wind.
Started snowing here about 11:45 Saturday morning. We have a warning from Saturday 4 a.m. to Monday 4 a.m.
And for that reason, we've got a 4 out of 10 on our Torcon parts of Alabama and Georgia, and also into northwest
We're
Florida.
Supposed to get 6 to 12 inches of snow in the Cleveland area.
Individual storms that are capable of rotating.
Just came home from work. It was nasty coming home, snowy, slippery.
Individual cells going there, and even into 9 o'clock this evening. Got a line here, but some embedded within that line.
That's the Ohio Turnpike over there, Interstate 80, which goes from San Francisco to New York, Pacific to the Atlantic. It's pretty, with everything getting covered, and the trees getting covered, especially the pine, fir, spruce. I can hear a plow over there in the RTA public bus parking lot on the other side of the turnpike. There goes a semi down the turnpike. A couple of cars. Traffic's moving pretty good, but below speed limit. The lake is frozen here, the pond, Chestnut Lake Apartments, Strongsville, Ohio, Cuyahoga County. Probably just have about an inch and a half so far. 2 inches at the most. I'm guessing probably 4 to 10 inches for this area between now and Monday morning. Most of it's going to be today and tomorrow, Saturday, Sunday. I believe the named storms are geostorms. Storms are so unnatural, weather's unnatural. Storms are enhanced, modified. Not until the last few years now we have storms that are so big they go across the whole country, and the mass when you look at radar is just unbelievable. So that's looking south, southwest. That's looking west. That's looking north towards Cleveland and Lake Erie. There's been some deaths from the storm so far, but it's beginning now to hit the biggest populations, the Midwest and Northeast. Ohio, Pennsylvania, New York. So this is Winter Storm Harper.
Even where I am here in Chillicothe, which is about an hour south of Columbus, we've seen rain. It's a dreary, gray, rainy day. So our crews have been extremely busy in the northern part of the state. Here in the southern part of the state where I am, it's sort of a wait and see. We're waiting for this rain to switch over to snow.
Now, as we work our way on through the next 24 hours or so, and some of those areas you mentioned there that are in the southern part of the state may switch over, but even some of those spots that don't necessarily switch over, we still have a concern, I'd imagine, because of that really cold air that's going to be
The winds are going to pick up right now. They're not too much.
How are you guys handling that
Cleveland.
situation?
Well, it's one thing that we are concerned about as well, both the winds
Rain,
that we're
snow,
expecting to come in
ice.
on the backside of the storm, and also,
Winds
like
up
you
to
mentioned,
40
those
miles
low
an
temperatures,
hour.
because obviously we've got a lot of standing
Supposed
water.
to get
in some parts
lows
of the state that,
though of
we're really
Sunday and
concerned with
Monday
flash
like
freeze.
4
So really what we
degrees,
have to
8
do is stay on
degrees.
top of this with material like salt. So the other materials we have available to us that will work at those extremely low temperatures that we're expecting later today. And, the one saving grace, I think, with all of this, at this point, it looks like most of the forecasts are agreeing now that the worst of this storm for the entire state, at least, will happen overnight. We're hopeful that that is the case, because that will mean less traffic on the road, so our crews can get out there
Cleveland,
and
that's
get ahead
where
of
I'm at.
things.
Strongsville, Ohio,
Top
suburb of
3,000
Cleveland.
the best snowplow drivers you're going to find in the nation here in Ohio, and they're really good at their job, and they'll be doing that on 12-hour shifts pretty much all weekend until things are cleaned up here.
Well, I tell you, Matt, thank you so much. Matt Bruning there, press secretary from the Ohio Department of Transportation. Busy times there, but I know hardworking crews will do their best to make sure everyone is staying safe. But you can help them out as well by staying off the roads. Thanks again, Matt, for joining us. Now, of course, icing is a concern out there for us on the roadways, but ice dangers don't just exist on the roads. They can cause issues with buildings, water damage as well. Our very own Paul Goodlow has the details on that.
When it comes to winter storms, freezing rain is the worst type of precipitation we can forecast. That's because it coats everything in a layer of ice. If that ice gets to about a quarter inch in thickness, well, it becomes a huge nuisance. You have ice coating your windshield, your car. Bridges have become very tricky to travel on, and we start to see light coatings of ice on tree branches and limbs. Then, if that ice continues to grow between a quarter and a half inch, well, that ice storm can be very disruptive, because we have trees breaking or even sagging down under the weight of all the ice. Most roads become very iced over and dangerous to travel on, and then we start dealing with some widespread power outages. Then, if the ice continues to grow over a half inch in thickness, well, that ice storm becomes crippling. That's because we have widespread
8
tree
to 12
and
inches for
damage
Cleveland.
because
That's
of the
where I'm
weight
at.
of all the ice on those things. Not to mention the roads, you just simply cannot drive on them as they are covered in a sheet of ice. So if we are forecasting an ice storm in your area, the best thing to do is to prepare and then stay at home.
All right, great advice there. Thanks, Paul Goodlow. Want to head back to the studio to check in with our storm specialist, Carl Parker. And Carl, waiting on the real, true precipitation to actually move on into my neck of the woods here, where I am.
Cranberry
Just
Township,
north of
Pennsylvania, the
Pittsburgh area.
grass is
What are you seeing on the
green.
radar,
Cleveland, Ohio, it's
in this
covered
area?
Well, we're
with
seeing
a
some
couple
light
inches of
right now
snow.
coming into the area, Alex, and as you mentioned, that rain snow line is not very far away right now. It's just right into Pittsburgh, as a matter of fact. So it is going to be a difficult call there. It's going to be one of those cases where the areas north of Pittsburgh probably see as much as a foot of snow, and to the south might not be that much at all. It's going to be a very tricky forecast, that is for sure. We wanted to jump down now into areas of the mid-south and show you this band of snow that is coming through. And I'll tell you, we were getting some heavy snow here. Heavy snow being reported in Farmington as well as Walnut Ridge with quarter-mile visibility, winds gusting to 32 miles per hour in Walnut Ridge. So it's getting blizzard-ish in some areas. It's not going to be an official blizzard. It's not going to last that long. You need 3 hours of this and frequent gusts over 35 miles per hour. So we're not going to quite be there, but it certainly is going to be very difficult to travel in this region. Something to think about, not just here, but also farther north into the Midwest. In Toledo right now, we're getting moderate snow with half-mile visibility. Many, many stations across northern Ohio reporting that, and we could be looking at snowfall rates of 1.5 inches per hour here over the next few hours, along with those winds being very strong indeed, now gusting to 37 miles per hour in Chicago and 31 in Indianapolis. Had a lot of freezing rain in Indianapolis, as much as nearly 1/3 of an inch there in River Forest, and some power lines and tree limbs knocked down as a result of that. That is going to be changing over to snow in Indianapolis, along with a terrific amount of wind. Look at this, 5 o'clock, 40 to 50 mile per hour wind gusts there in Indianapolis. That'll continue through 6, through 7, through 8 o'clock. And so we certainly could be looking at some near blizzard conditions across that region with that level of wind and the consistent snow starting to move out of Indianapolis at that time, but continuing strong into central and northeast Ohio. For a period there, winds may be gusting to 40, 50 miles per hour in Cleveland, and still very strong wind even into tomorrow morning. So the heaviest of snow
It's gonna be a lousy drive into work
across
tomorrow.
Ohio and into
At least
areas
traffic will
just
be less
north
being on a
of
Sunday.
Pittsburgh, where Alex is right in there. It's certainly going to be a heck of a storm for a lot of northern Pennsylvania and definitely for the Northeast. And let's get a look at some specific city timing.
Cleveland
Here's
is
Julie with
me.
that for us.
Yeah, a lot more still to come in places like Cleveland. The snow lasting tonight and in through tomorrow as well. We could see another 5 to 8 inches of snow here still to come before it is all said and done with those gusty winds up to 40 miles an hour. So right now, taking a look at our future radar, snow continuing to fall here in and around Cleveland throughout the afternoon hours, lasting throughout the evening and into the overnight as well. Some of that also lake effect snow that's going to be mixing in here, not just Harper, but the lake effect also adding to some of those totals here. By 7 a.m., we're still getting the snow here in Cleveland, in Akron, in Painesville, and a lot of this is still to come. So as we mentioned, we could see maybe 9 inches or so piling up here in Cleveland before this is all said and done through tomorrow. 8 or 9 inches, maybe it's as much as 10 inches once we get in some of these outlying areas like Akron, Ohio. For Columbus, it's going to be a more tricky forecast. I think for you, it's going to be more of a winter mix here in the city proper. We get north of the city, and that's where the snow really piles up. Live coverage of Harper. Our teams are spread out across the nation.
I'm Jimmy Dean, and